What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Locked On 76ers. Today, we start off with Tyrese Maxey, and not only the great player that he's turning out to be, or very good player, but also the great person, more importantly, that he is. We'll get into that preview. Clippers and Sixers tonight, and Doc Rivers, homecoming. We'll get into it next, right here, Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, it's that time again. Welcome. You are Locked On 76ers. I'm Devon Givens from 97.5 The Fanatic Radio in Philadelphia, alongside my co-host and my partner, Keith Pompey, Sixers beat writer for the Inquirer.com. We're hanging out with you today to get you set for Clippers and 76ers. First of all, thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On 76ers is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On 76ers. Check us out. You can see our faces. You can see what kind of gear we're wearing, the t-shirts, the background, all that stuff. Me throwing the basketball around, whatever it might be, checking on in. And today's episode is brought to you by NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot is the future of being an NBA fan. Own officially licensed rare NFTs of the greatest moments from NBA history. There are plenty out there. So sign up today at lockedon.nbatopshot.com. Keith Pompey, my man, what's happening?
What's happening, man? What's going on? I didn't know what to say.
You see
what's happening or what's popping? Yeah, you lucky I'm not on this. You lucky I'm on the West Coast, bro.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You see the skills with the basketball? Okay.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. You know what I mean? You just lucky. You lucky, bro. I'm not here. Strip.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, man. Yesterday we talked about a good win for the Sixers in LA to start off this 3-game road trip. Lakers, Clippers, and Suns as part of the 3-game trek out west, and they picked up the 126-121 victory over the LA Lakers. Clippers tonight. We'll preview that shortly. We'll get into that a little bit later. The homecoming for Doc Rivers as well. But one of the things, Keith, that I wanted to talk about with you that I know has been popping, to your point, with Philadelphia fans is the emergence all season long, of course, of Tyrese Maxey. It's no secret anymore of how good of a player he is in year number 2, making that jump. Even when we do a redraft, and we did this on my show or on the radio, where we kind of redrafted where Tyrese Maxey would end up, and he was top 5. And we both know that he was selected 21st in the 2020 draft from the University of Kentucky. That's how good he has been. And last night, with his 21 points, the game before against the Miami Heat with his 28, making his 3-point shots now, Keith, where before it used to be a player using his speed, which is an advantage, of course, in the game of basketball, getting to the painted area, getting to the interior against the big giants, and using a lot of teardrops and floaters, but not trusting his outside shot. And sometimes that would get him in trouble. Now we're seeing him, Keith, shooting over 40% from the floor, 40% from the field, 40% from behind the three-point line, knocking down his free throws as well late in games. And while he is still not a point guard, which he had to do for 54 games before Ben Simmons was traded, now James Harden comes in. He's back to his home, as Doc Rivers calls it, playing off the ball and using his speed, now his shooting, and picking out the spots in the defense to do what he needs to do to navigate, to get his points and play within the flow of the game and stop deferring. Keith, he has become one of the better young players in this league that everyone is starting to take notice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're starting to take notice. The thing about Tyrese Maxey is I think a lot of it has to do with comfort. Let's face it, the guy could play ball. He was a McDonald's All-American. He was Mr. Basketball in the state of Texas. He went to the University of Kentucky. You know, last thing I know, if you don't go to Kentucky unless you really know how to ball, and you don't start at Kentucky and be a one and done if you can't play. I think that it's comfort and there's also opportunities. I mean, you look at him last year, there were opportunities where he played when guys were injured and he came out and he starred. But then the question was, it's like, okay, but no one else was on the floor. Earlier this season, you have Joel Embiid was injured. All the other guys are injured. He was balling. But then you say to yourself, what can he do when he's playing with Joel? Then he plays with Joel. Now you have James Harden and he's balling. I think right now it's one of those things where he's comfortable. I feel like that he has the blessing of Joel Embiid, James Harden, for him to take over. They want him to take charge. Mm-hmm. So he's able to do the things that he wasn't doing before because he was too busy deferring and being caught up saying, I'm the second-year player playing with future Hall of Famers. So now we look at him and we see all the things that he's able to do, and we're impressed. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, you know, you always hear the stuff about hard workers and how it always benefits them. I mean, this dude is, we're talking about in the summertime, he's doing 6 a days. 6 a days, man, in the summer. Yeah. So he puts in the work, he puts in all that, and it's all coming out. And like, you're right. If they would do a redraft, he would probably be a top 5 pick. I know a lot of people are saying that, you know,
he would be a top 5 pick.
Man, you know, I gotta look at it. I mean, I understand what you're saying is, and the reason I'm saying
I run them off for you. I already know them off the top of my head.
Well, then run them off then, because I don't know.
Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, 1 and 2 in whatever order you want to put them. He's in the conversation then with Tyrese Halliburton, Desmond Bane, and then him. Those are the best guys.
What was Desmond Bane? He was a late first round too, wasn't he?
He was the last pick in the first round.
Wow, that's crazy.
He was pick number 30.
Yeah. I don't really. The reason why I said probably because I don't have a list in front of me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's this and that now. And there are also some people. I know we're going a little off topic a little bit, but there are also some people that say that he would be the most improved player. Yeah. I don't think he would be. And that's not a knock against him. Though why I'm saying this? Because
not at all.
When he had opportunities last year, showed us what he could do. The biggest thing for him was he wasn't getting the burn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he would come in, like, I mean, think about it. That game against Denver, my man dropped 30-something against the Nuggets early on.
39.
Right?
Yep.
39 early on. Then all of a sudden he stopped playing. Now I get it. He wasn't doing what they said he was supposed to do. But he extended the playoff series, right? Second round. So now when I see him, I look at it like the guy is getting opportunities. I always thought he was that good. It was just that, you know, he just didn't have the opportunities to show how good he was.
Yeah, and then to your point of extending the series, it was, for people who don't know, the second round Eastern Conference semis against the Atlanta Hawks. Sixers trailing 3-2 in the series, which was ridiculous to us here in Philadelphia. No disrespect to the Hawks. It was just, one of those deals, and Tyrese Maxey saved the series with that 20-plus point performance in Game 6 in Atlanta, where he starred in that game. And then Game 7, we did not see a lot of him. And I don't know if that was Nate McMillan and his adjustment to Maxey and all of that. But Doc Rivers also, to your point, Keith, earlier, did not give him a lot of burn in that game. And we know what happened. Who knows what would have been the end result if Maxey would have played a little bit more, just to give them a different look, different dynamic in that particular game. But the guy is just playing some awesome basketball right now. And he's going to be a key part of their run in the postseason when we get there, because he has sometimes, for a lot of people, Keith, a lot are talking about, is he now the third option behind Embiid and Harden, so far as people going with the big three. And I'm not going that far. That's where I stop, because I think it's unfair to Tyrese Maxey to do that right now when you're talking about the other two players, because sometimes it's going to be Maxey. Other games it is going to be Tobias Harris, who stars in that game and shines as that third option. So with him being the second or third or fourth option sometimes, and maybe even the first, because of how well he's rolling and his teammates trusting him to do what he needs to do, he has been tremendous. And the other part that people may not know, watching him on nationally televised games, you'll see it, and maybe even some social media posts, Keith, but just the nicest guy, just a cool guy that's really hard. Even when you're covering a team and you're supposed to be unbiased, you find it really difficult not to root for that person. And Tyrese Maxey is one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's a nice guy. Like, if you don't like Tyrese Maxey, something's wrong with you. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I mean,
yeah,
like, if you don't like him or you have something bad to say, it's more so you than him. I mean, you look at a guy like Joel Embiid, who is not a morning person, but guess what? He makes a point to say stuff in the morning about, like, to speak in the morning when he see Tyrese, because he has to, because he's always smiling and giggling. Tyrese,
it's infectious when you're around him.
Yeah, it's infectious, but it's infectious. But it's also one of those things where, I hate to say this, and it's something that we don't talk about a lot, but it's something that, your grandmother and your mom and all that, they say that young man was raised right. That young man was raised right. And it's like, but unfortunately, we don't talk about that too much anymore. Like, he's the type of guy, like, he'll call people Miss Lauren, Mr. Such and such, this and that, so, like, he's raised right. Like, so you look at that. Also, if he's humble, man. Like, I asked him yesterday, I said, yo, has it hit you yet that all this success that you're having? He was like, nah, I just keep working hard. I keep working hard. He's just a different type of dude. It's hard to explain. But I will say this. In all my years of covering sports, as far as someone being down to earth, we talk about one of the top 5 draft picks, right? If we do the redraft, he's one of the top 5 players in regards to being extremely down to earth. It's easy to see why this is a kid who everyone loves. This is a kid who's extremely popular. And the one thing that says about him is he went to South Garland High School in the Dallas area, right? This is a guy that probably most of these McDonald's All-Americans and all this, they go to Mount Verde Academy, Oak Hill Academy. He went to the public school in his neighborhood. And that public school wasn't even known as the best basketball school in the modern era in that neighborhood, right, in his town. Mm-hmm. But he went there, and look at him. I mean, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he really is. Again, very easy to root for that guy, no matter where you are as far as your rooting interest with your basketball team and players in general. And he's going to be a key part of this team going forward. He's going to be a key part, Keith, of the game tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers back at Crypto.com Arena for Game 2 of this 3-game homestand. We'll talk about that as previewing the game coming up next. And, Keith, could this be a little bit of a trap situation in this game on a Friday night, day number 4 in Los Angeles? Sometimes LA can eat you up. Will the guys be ready? We'll talk about that when we come back next here, Locked On 76ers.
It's that time of year again. This college basketball tournament is fully upon us. From all the latest odds, context, and player props, BetOnline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, where the game starts. Do it today, people. I'm telling you, do it today.
Well, something needs to be done today, and that is game number 73 for the Philadelphia 76ers as they're getting ready to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. But let me tell you first, thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. Do that today and the next day and the next. For your next listen, check out Locked On Now podcast for nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Keith, Game 73, Sixers 45-27. The Los Angeles Clippers host the Sixers tonight with a 36-38 record, fighting for, just the play-in tournament, but positioning overall in that tournament. And they're doing all this work led by Tyronn Lue, the head coach, without Kawhi Leonard all season long because of a knee recovery with the ACL. And then, of course, Paul George, who was having a phenomenal start to the season, he goes down. He's been out since then and has not returned, but they're still in the mix led by Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, some young guys, Terrence Mann, Ivica Zubic, Amir Coffey. You see a whole bunch of names of these players, Luke Kennard, on and on and on. But the Sixers had a game in which they played them earlier in the year, Keith, where they were up by as much as 24 points in the game. Looked like the Sixers were going to run away with the contest. And the Clippers came back and beat them by 1 point. Joel Embiid had a double-double, 40 points, double-digit rebounds. Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, the only other two players in double figures for the Sixers that night. And we were disappointed in how they closed that one out. But that just goes to show the fight led by, again, Tyronn Lue as the head coach, where they don't quit. This is going to be a tough matchup, Keith, against the Clippers. How do you see this one? And is there a chance of any sort of trap with them, you being around a team, them being caught up a little bit in Los Angeles before game time where they're not as focused?
It's definitely a trap game. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, like, let's be 100. Like, everyone's not like me. I spent the off day in LA sleeping. I mean, seriously, like I'm basically, right. You know, I spent my off day sleeping, dude. Like, come on now. Like, but I mean, yeah, you have the beach, you have the weather, you know, the palm trees, everything you want is out here. And then not only that, you know, you're thinking ahead to Sunday's game against the Phoenix Suns. And then you look at it and it's like, okay, we're in LA. LA's all about the Lakers. We just defeated the Lakers. Now we got this off day. You know, we're going to relax. We're going to chill. We're going to, you know, we're going to play the Clippers, and then we're going to Phoenix. But like you said, Tyronn Lue is a hell of a coach. They beat him last time, right? And then it's one of those things where, yes, Doc Rivers' former team, but Tyronn Lue is the mentee. He doesn't want to lose to his mentor. Right. So there's a lot of things at stake. And like these guys we're talking about, they're pretty good. Now, I get it. You look on paper, the Clippers lost, 4 or 5 games in a row. They've been struggling a little bit, yeah. You know, this and that. But, yeah, this is definitely a trap game because you got Joel and James and Tobias. Let me tell you this about Tobias. Last night or 2 nights ago, after the game, he comes to the interview room with a nice little short set on, rocking his short set. So they already
in that.
Huh?
It's warm. Yeah, it's warm.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's kind of like he's already adjusted to the LA style. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if you were in Philly, it's one of those things where, you know, it's still warming up now, but you know what I'm saying? He would have on like jeans, might have on some shoes, this and that. Nah, my man was sporty. Like sporty. He looked like, I ain't saying he was going out to go anywhere, but he was sporty. You know what I mean? Like
right.
And he's not from here, but he played.
He was there for some time.
Yeah, for some time. So like, you know what I mean? He knows what the LA life is about. Yeah, this is definitely a trap game. You don't want to stay over in LA. You don't want to stay over in Houston. You don't want to stay over in Atlanta or Miami. And they've been
New York
4 days. Yeah, New York too. But like at this particular time, you would think if you live in Philly, like you would, you know, New York is cool, but you would think that, you know, that trap wouldn't hit you, but it's still bad.
Fair enough.
Those are the 5 cities that you do not want to stay over at. You don't want to stay.
Yeah, and I totally understand that, and maybe that's where it affected them a little bit. Even though they got there on Tuesday, the game was on Wednesday, so they had some time to maybe go out and explore a little bit, maybe shop. To your point, do some of those things. But I think the focus for me, Keith, is there with understanding the task at hand because of how bunched up things are. Miami loses on Wednesday as well. They're 1.5 games back. They were 1.5 games back with Milwaukee and Boston tied up. So the jumble that it is, how bunched up it is now at the top of the East with those 4 teams and knowing what's potentially at stake. So with that, hearing stuff, whatever they might say, oh, we don't worry about that. We only worry what's in our locker room. Everyone hears things, and they hear things. They hear about James Harden not being focused, taking some time off and taking away from what the team is doing, or Joel Embiid's MVP and all that type of stuff. I think they're well aware and understanding of what's at stake, where they won't allow something like this to get in the way of what the ultimate goal is for the regular season and seeding. I'm only saying for that, because once they get to the playoffs, that's a different animal. And I see you making the faces and all that stuff as we talk about this.
Nah, man.
I didn't think they would walk away with a 3-0 record on this trip. At best, I thought they would do 2-1, and they have a chance to do that tonight.
True, but I get it. Like you would hope that they would be locked.
I would hope so.
Focused, but
this is
like
I'm saying it because it's
real.
not February.
It's not February.
It's the end of March. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I got you. I understand. Believe me, I do. I totally understand. But you got to understand this too. This is like, and again, I mean, I am not saying that this team isn't focused. But what I'm saying is, like, stuff can happen. Like, you got to understand something. Tobias Harris used to play here. Now that maybe they could be, cool. He used to play here, so he knows where to go, where he wants to have fun. I'm pretty sure he has his spots, his restaurants. James Harden is from here. DeAndre Jordan had 2 stints here, one with the Clippers, one with the Lakers. So when you have guys, like, sometimes you can get a little relaxed. Doc Rivers used to live here. I mean, he does still live here. Like, when he came here on Tuesday, we asked him, so where would you do? First thing he did, he went to his crib. No, he went to his
home.
crib.
Okay.
He went home and spent the night and slept in his own bed. He lives in Malibu, right? I would too. But so what I'm saying is, like, and I'm not saying that these teams, guys, are going to do it, but there's always the ingredients for a letdown because
it happens.
You get a little comfortable, because, let's face it. Let's think about it, man. Like, if you were on the road and you came home and you had an off day, mommy, grandma, everybody, Uncle June, Aunt Cheryl, little Jim up the block, they all want to see you. They all want to do stuff, right? And then you got your boys with you. So they want to meet your boys and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, now again, so you would think that teams at this age, I mean, these guys, a team with this many experienced veterans would be like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this, do that. If they do it, it's great. But what I'm just saying is, if they lost some focus, I would understand it a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. I don't want to hear anything if they lose some focus and get rocked tonight by the Clippers. I don't want to.
We want to talk about it. We want to talk about it.
Fair enough. Well, you mentioned it a little bit, and in our final segment, Keith, coming up, we got to talk about the homecoming for Doc Rivers as he comes home yet again to Los Angeles. Sure, he took on the Los Angeles Lakers, but he never roamed the sidelines and had success with the Lakers. He had it with the Clippers as a player and as a coach with a nice, successful run. We'll talk about the homecoming. Maybe look ahead a little bit too, Keith, to Phoenix, since we won't catch up until after the game on Sunday. This is Locked On 76ers podcast, and I got to tell you about the NBA Top Shot, the official NFT of the league. It's the officially licensed NFT of the NBA. Connect with the community of hundreds of thousands of NBA fans as a natural progression of fantasy sports, a way to upgrade your experience as an NBA fan, how to get into the game with others in a different way. The future is now with the NBA fans. This is what it looks like. This is what it's all about now. And the trading cards, what it used to be, Keith, where you and I used to get into that. I still have a shoebox of my trading cards. I love the trading cards, but this is the new wave. This is how everybody's getting involved. No more of the still images on the cardboard. These are officially licensed NFTs where they're like the stock market. It's something like that. Every day, millions of dollars worth of NFTs are on the trading back and forth between tens of thousands of NBA fans around the world for some pretty good money too. So make sure you guys get involved in a little thing too, a little tidbit about the NBA and the NFTs. The airline loyalty program for the NBA. They flew collectors out to Game 5 of the NBA Finals based on having Suns moments. I was there. It was a tough moment that night with Giannis getting the block on DeAndre Ayton, and then the alley-oop happened in that game. They did that type of stuff. The investors, big names, Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, so many people involved. hear people talking about it all the time. So I would encourage you all to get in. If you sign up with Top Shot today, the best way to start is by getting yourself a starter pack. So do that. You can pull up NFT of a superstar like LeBron or KD, and Top Shot Moments can get you access to events and can be used in fantasy mini games on a regular basis. So NBA Top Shot is the future of being an NBA fan. Own officially licensed rare NFTs of the greatest moments for NBA history. Sign up today at lockedon.nbatopshot.com.
Look, D, I want to talk to you about Built Bar, right? So I know
love the Built Bar.
Yeah, I love it too, right? And I know that they always come with us and, hey, this is a live read and this and that. Listen, I'm just going to tell people this. If you don't like Built Bar, then something's wrong with you, right? Like all Built Bars are covered with 100% real chocolate. Yes, including the puffs. What I mean, 100% real chocolates. It's low calorie, it's high protein. Replace your candy bar with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. Nah, not at Built Bar. All I want to tell y'all is that I love Built Bar. People know how much I talk about it. And I'm saying, if you want to do yourself a favor, if you want to make your life better, go get this candy bar, man. I'm telling you, this chocolate bar, it makes sure everything's great. It's 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 next carbs, and 17 grams of protein. I'm telling you, go to BuiltBar.com, use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your next order at Built.com. Do it today, people. Do it today.
Maybe we should give some of the players some Built Bar. So if they don't get enough sleep, need some of that energy. No candy bars.
Here we go.
Built
We
Bar.
up here saying this now. I'm just saying, like, it could be set up now. But you didn't tell me you was at that game though. Like, I don't want to. So you actually went to that game?
Yeah, I went to Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and it wasn't the.
You were bad luck.
Block. It was the alley-oop. Yeah, I was bad luck. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals and Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Phoenix lost both games. Yeah.
So what did you take?
Now they moved on.
So let me ask you this though: Did you tell Mikal Bridges and them after, like, yo, I think y'all lost this series, man. Giannis a bad boy.
No, I did not.
What did you say to him?
We kept that in the circle. That's between us. That's our business.
You ain't say, yo, that boy's bad. Y'all can't stop him. Y'all didn't say that?
No, absolutely not. We didn't say that. For what? For what? Nah. No need to say that. See them later on. Well, anyway, Keith, actually the Sixers have the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 days. So we'll 4 days next Tuesday as they return home from this 4-game trip. Keith, Doc Rivers homecoming, as you mentioned, wanted to sleep in his own bed in Malibu. And for 7 seasons, he coached the Clippers from 2013 to 2020 when they mutually agreed to part ways. The Sixers picked him up. He had a lot of success, man, in Western Conference Finals, and just could not get over the hump, though. And I'd imagine only being able to come home one time a season until he goes back in the offseason. It's special to him to come back and play the Los Angeles Clippers, going against one of his guys that he mentored for so many years. That's become a really good coach, a championship-winning coach himself in Tyronn Lue. And he wants to win the game. I would imagine he wants to win the game, Keith.
Yeah, he does, of course. You're going up against
a little more,
yeah. I mean, let's think about it. Doc Rivers, there was a lot of things that they said you can't do in LA. And like, I have family, I have really close friends, people I really care about who live in LA. And, I've always joked to them about the Lakers and the Clippers, and I always joke and say the Clippers are the better team. And they just look at me like I'm crazy, right? And then the Clippers always struggle, right? So the one thing I will say about Doc Rivers is now, Doc Rivers, a lot of people don't realize this. He inherited a Clippers team that won 56 games one season and then won 57. Let me take this back. Let me make sure I got this right. They won 40 games one season and then had a big leap the next year where they won 56, right? So then when Doc Rivers under the helm, they won 57, won 53, 56 rather, and then 53. So yes, he gets the credit, but Vinny Del Negro is the guy who started him off, right? And then Doc took him from there. The problem is Doc couldn't get out of the second round, and he became the fall guy. And a lot of that was, he came here, he kind of changed the culture. They got new ownership where the owner was really bought in and everything. But there was a point where when you heard of Kawhi Leonard saying that he wanted to play for the Clippers over the Lakers, you never heard it. So when that came, there became these expectations that, look, we're winning these 50 points. We're getting 50 wins a season. We got to get a championship. And they couldn't get out of the second round. So his success basically doomed him, right? Because he didn't live up to his own expectations. So with that being said, it's one of those things, Doc's going to look at it like, look, y'all messed up. Y'all fired me. I'm the greatest thing that y'all had. I mean, he has the best winning percentage of any coach here. He's a top 15 coach in the NBA. There are certain people who may question that, but that's a fact. He's regarded as a top 15 coach. He has the 10 most wins in NBA history, but his one blemish is being fired by the Clippers, the team that he put on the map. So you have to know that he's motivated, he's fired up, and he's going to want to win. He's going to want to get this victory here.
Yeah, and down the stretch again, as we talked about earlier in the year when the Clippers visited the Sixers and came back from 24 points down, I'm sure he was ticked off, and Tyronn Lue got the better of him as the game went along. So it's going to be an important game tonight, Keith, and I look at this one and I say that I hope that they're able to pull this one out and get this one done before they head to Phoenix, because a good win, as we mentioned the other day against the Lakers. Now you have this one, Phoenix upcoming, and you only have 4 more games at home for the remainder of the year. They've been a fantastic road team, and they're trying to get things together back at home where they used to be unbeatable, and they have to get back to that. But first things first, big matchup tonight against the LA Clippers. Once again, Clippers coming in with a record right now of 36-38. The Sixers 45-27, trying to keep up with everybody at the top of that Eastern Conference standings. And we'll see where the Sixers end up, but they have some work to do beforehand. Good to see everybody able to go. Quickly, Joel Embiid, any concern at all about the back and how he was, flexing his back, bending over a little bit there at halftime, at half court after the play where Stanley Johnson pulled his jersey and fouled him awkwardly?
Nah, I don't. Not right now. I don't. I
still seems to be good.
Yeah, he still seems to be good. He still seems to be good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You hate to see that with the big fella. James Harden fell awkwardly on one play. George Niang with his ankle. But this is the time where you fight through these things as we get ready for a big matchup tonight against the LA Clippers. 10:30 start time locally here in Philly. 7:30 out there, Keith, where you're enjoying yourself with the palm trees, the great weather, and the great food and all that stuff. And yeah, we're jealous.
Dude, like I told you, don't be jealous of me unless you want to get caught up on some sleep. I mean, seriously, don't be jealous of me, because that's all I've been doing is sleeping. I want to, go to practice, do all that other stuff. Like, yeah, my life is kind of boring. You know what I mean? My thrill is like hopping on a plane on a flight and hoping and praying they give me a first class upgrade. That's my thrill.
All right. Well, if you find yourself in any of those cool stores and you see something for me, let me know. Let me know. I'll pay you back when you get back.
All right. Okay.
All right, man. Keith, great stuff as always, folks. Thanks for listening. As always, making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. On our next one, we'll talk about how, the Phoenix Suns on Sunday and getting ready for the Milwaukee Bucks on Tuesday, back at home for a quick visit to South Philadelphia. We'll get into all of that. Going to be a tough one on Sunday, Keith. So now make your second listen Locked On NBA. We're Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Keith, have a good one. We'll talk to you as we get ready for this next one on Monday with the Milwaukee Bucks, but also recapping what happened with the Phoenix Suns on Sunday. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, D. Thank you all for listening. Peace.